Hey, what's going on everybody? Today is Monday, December 28th. Hope you had a good Christmas and a good weekend as well. Thanks for joining me today. Today I'm going to be talking about the coronavirus relief bill that was just passed by the president. But of course, if you're new here, I would appreciate it if you consider subscribing to my channel, as I'm going to be keeping you all up to date with this kind of stuff going on. Any changes that happen, because there will be changes, obviously, and new guidances, new specific guidances. So just subscribe to my channel to keep up to date with that kind of stuff. And also smash that like button, I would really appreciate it. And comment below if you have any questions, concerns, or anything about what I'm going to be talking about today. Okay, just to give you a quick background on what's going on, Congress has been battling for months to come to terms that they agree with in terms of a COVID relief bill. And after months and months and months, they finally come together and agree to something. And that happened last week, or maybe a week and a half ago. Okay, so once they agree to something, they both signed, they passed the Senate and the House by a huge majority and on to the president. And that's when the president decided to not sign the bill. He refused to sign the bill because he thought there was too much fluff in there to foreign countries. And also he thought that the stimulus checks were too low at $600 per individual. So he refused to sign for a few days, probably a week or so, demanding that all of the foreign aid be cut out and demanding that all the stimulus checks are increased to $2,000 per individual. After a few days and probably some negotiations, it looks like the Democrats were fully supportive of the $2,000 checks. I don't think the Republicans would have been supportive of that. But either way, the president finally signed last night, Sunday, December 27th, and he signed the version of the bill that was passed through Congress the week before, okay? So I'm gonna go over that version with you. I made a video last week and there have been some changes since I made the video. So I think it would just be good to go over it again and just kind of reiterate. And I know you've probably been watching a lot of videos on this thing. Maybe this is redundant, maybe not, but just know that I get all my information from .gov websites only, all right? So there's no BS here. All right, so I'm gonna talk about the stimulus checks first. Now, the amount of stimulus checks that you're gonna get if you qualify is $600 per individual and $600 per qualifying child. Now, the terms, or at least the qualifying conditions of the check this time are the same as the initial or the first stimulus payments of earlier this year. So that means if you're single or head of household and you make under $75,000 per year, then you're gonna get the full stimulus check. If you make between $75,000 and $99,000, then you're gonna get a slightly decreased amount of the stimulus check. And the phase out starts at $75,000, completely phases out at $99,000. That means if you make over $99,000, you get nothing, okay? And so the same goes with married couples filing jointly. Those numbers just double. So it's gonna be $150,000 to $198,000. That's the phase out period. Now, I believe they're gonna use your 2019 tax return. I believe they're still gonna have another portal where you go and update your information if you need to. If you weren't required to file a tax return, that would be a place where you would go to claim that information as well. All right, on to the PPP. So the PPP here has been a big deal for businesses. The initial round has been a big deal, okay? Now we have PPP second draw, or PPP version 2, which means that if you did receive the PPP the first time, you can now get a second draw of the PPP if you're still in need of it, okay? So the point here is that you have to have already used your PPP the first time before you can get the second one, or at least be on track to use your first one. And also, you have to have shown a decrease in revenue year over year. So how that works is, let's say you want to use quarter 2 of 2020 to compare to quarter 2 of 2019. Quarter 2 of 2020 has to have at least 25% of a reduction of revenue compared to 2019. And you can pick any quarter throughout the year, doesn't matter, but you just has to show a 25% reduction at least. Now, if your business was started in 2020, or if your business started like partway through Q4 of 2019, and it's obviously not a good gauge or a good comparison, because if your business started partway through, then you probably will have lower revenue compared to Q4 of this year. Well, it's not a good comparison. So don't worry, I really do have faith in our lawmakers and our Treasury Department to come up with guidance to properly account for these specific scenarios where you started your business in 2020, so you don't have a 2019 year to compare it to, or if you're seasonal, or if your business was like started partway through Q4 of 2019 or whatever it is. I believe there will be rules and exceptions here. The point of this PPP is just for targeting harder hit businesses, okay? It's not to try to like put people in boxes and only give them to these certain amounts of businesses. It's just to help more heavily hit businesses. So I do have faith that they will come up with exceptions and rules to the 25% revenue reduction clause. Some other differences for this PPP loan compared to the first one is that it's going to target smaller businesses, so businesses under 300 employees. The maximum loan amount is going to be $2 million instead of $10 million. And obviously the revenue clause thing. And there's even some money set aside to help like specific groups like veteran or minority owned businesses. Oh, one more thing I forgot. The restaurant industry will be able to receive a larger PPP loan than any other industry. So basically, if you are a restaurant, you will get 3.5 times your average monthly payroll compared to the 2.5 times that everybody else gets, because we all know that restaurants and bars are really, really struggling right now. That's good news for them. I appreciate Congress doing that, as I know many restaurant owners that are my clients are really struggling, and bar owners too. Since we're talking about the PPP, let's talk about the PPP expense tax deductions. So originally, the IRS released a guidance or a ruling reminding people that if you took the PPP loan and then you used it on payroll or other expenses, and then you got it forgiven, then those expenses will not be tax deductible. And this happens like during May this year or something like that. So since the IRS released that, there have been controversy on the PPP loan, and Congress has passed in this bill a specific statement that states that any expenses that you used using the PPP loan and subsequently forgiven will be deductible. It basically says no expenses shall be denied for deduction on your tax return. So that's good. That clears the air there. In my video last week, I did say that, you know, if you already got your PPP loan forgiven, then that change doesn't apply to you. But it looks like in the final version of the bill that has been, you know, nixed. Like any PPP recipient will be able to deduct their expenses, which is good. All right, so the last thing I'm going to talk about is unemployment. So the federal unemployment or the extended unemployment programs have briefly lapsed over the weekend and have now been reinstated since President Trump signed the bill on Sunday. So what that means is the FPUC program will give unemployed folks an extra $300 per week of federal money, okay? And then there's also the PUA program, which allows self-employed people, business owners, those kinds of people who usually would not qualify for unemployment to qualify for unemployment. So both of these programs, the FPUC and the PUA, have been extended to about mid-April of 2021. And now the last thing I'm going to talk about is just this random thing I think was kind of interesting, is the meals and entertainment. So as you know, if you're a business owner and you have meals or lunch or whatever with your clients or your colleagues, or, you know, when you're networking, you can only deduct 50% of those meals on your tax return. But for the 2021 and 2022 year, thanks to this new bill, you can deduct the full 100%, which, you know, some people will probably be really happy about. But I thought that was just like a weird and interesting thing that they threw in the bill there. So yeah, that's all I got for today. Thanks for joining me. Again, if you're new here and you're just joining us, thanks so much for watching. I'd really love it if you consider subscribing to our channel, because again, I will keep you all up to date with everything going on, especially there's gonna be a lot of changes as this happens last time when the CARES Act passed. There's been a lot of changes and new specific guidance, and I'll keep you all up to date on that. And also, please smash the like button on this video if you really enjoy the content, and share this video with your friends and family, whoever you think might find it useful. All right, that's all I got for now. Stay safe, take care.
a switch up. I hit the function, hit the rose till I hiccup. I hit the stage and leave with money that say stick up. She picture perfect, so I told him I'm a flick